afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Abida. Good afternoon, Eric.
Good afternoon.
Hello, Ashraf. Hi, Ndile. Hello, Aleng. Hello, Aisha. Hi, Ansuman. Hi, Rosala. And everyone who is on the chat. We have a couple of participants, so I won't be able to name everyone who is on the call, but thank you all for being here. We are gearing up for the last, it's the last days before you submit your ABC form, which includes the pitch deck and the prototype. And we are very excited to be here assisting you on how to finalize your pitch and submit it by the 10th of December. Some of you already have submitted, and well done. Now you can all take a sit back and chill until the 3rd of, until January. And for the other, please, good luck, and don't forget to refine your pitch deck, refine your prototype, and impress us with the visual and content. So we're going to be starting like in 2 minutes. We're just waiting for the others to join us. I see someone coming from Kuwait. Hello, Saleh. Hi, Mariam. And we are going to address your question just now, so don't worry, we're going to be assisting you. For those who are from the UAE, happy National Day. And if you had a long weekend, here in the UAE, it was a national celebration. So we had a 4-day break, and I'm sure some of you took that advantage to work on your pitch deck, on your ABC form, and on your prototype. So I'll go through the presentation quickly, the timeline. So for now, until today is the last workshop, until next week. Next week, we won't have any workshops. So today and tomorrow is your chance to address us any question that you may have regarding your submission. Please join us for the Q&A session tomorrow if you have any questions regarding the competition itself. And today we're going to be working on polishing your pitch, and from deck finalization to confident presentation. Without further ado, I am going to give the mic to our one and only Ben and his team. So hello, Ben.
Hello, how are you doing?
Hi, Khalid from Khalid El Shab from Kuwait, from Bahrain, sorry, and Kassian as well.
Cassian as well, yes. And
Yeah, it's your
Celine
last
and,
workshop
yeah.
with the numerous participants that are coming from more than 75 countries. So I will let you just kickstart the workshop, and good luck to everyone who are here on the call and are going to submit their pitch deck soon. Goodbye.
Great, thank you. So, welcome everyone. First of all, congratulations for everyone that's going to make it this far. I know I've been mentoring with a number of you guys, and I've seen a lot of progress, a lot of hard work so far. And now we're going to talk about the kind of the final push, really, where you take your pitch, your idea, your app idea, and your prototype, and take them and put them into a pitch that you can then submit for the final stage of the competition. Okay, so what are you going to learn today? So first of all, as I mentioned, a number of you have already started your pitch decks, and we're really going to look into how to refine your pitch deck today. A lot of you have had a number of questions that come up. Hopefully we can answer some of those questions again in this session. And then we're going to look at how to present your pitch project. So you've got the slide deck, you've got your video. How do you put all those together into a presentation? And this will include how to walk through your prototype and things to think about your prototype. And finally, we'll look at any logistics you need to submit your pitch. So how do you actually submit it online? And finally, we would like some of you to volunteer to show either all or some of your pitch in the end. So think about if you are ready to make that step up.
Andy will volunteer. Hi, Ben.
Great. It's going to be the most useful thing you can do. If you're ready to do that, You'll get a lot of confidence from that. We'll also give you a lot of feedback as well. And it'll also be a kind of a talking point for people to kind of ask questions as well. So think about that as we're going through, and it doesn't need to be your whole pitch. It could be just part of it. Maybe you just want to talk through your prototype. Maybe you want to talk through your problem and solution. But it'd be great if some of you would be willing to kind of share where you've got.
Yeah, see it as some live user testing.
Exactly. And literally for the confidence it will give you, it's kind of invaluable. Okay, so some housekeeping rules. Muting your mic unless you're invited to speak. Obviously, you can raise your hand if you want to participate. We've got the chat going on. So while I'm talking through, people can post questions. They can post comments as well. And when we get to breaks in the session, we can then kind of we might be able to kind of talk to some of those. And ideally, if you're in a position where you can share your camera, it'd be great if you could turn your camera on. It really helps for the engagement. Cool. So I kind of already talked through the agenda, so we probably don't need to go into much detail about that. Your guides today is myself, Ben Luff. We've got Chris and Selim, and we've also got Cassian on the call. And just as a recap, this is where we are in terms of it's the final webinar workshop. And obviously you'll be submitting your pitch presentations, your pitch videos rather, by the 10th, which is the Tuesday, next Tuesday.
So Ben, just a quick one. At the end of the session, I will go through the different criterias and the resource that they will need for the submission. So stay tuned, everyone, and please don't forget to stay until the end.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so before we start on the learning, let's just find out how the past week was for you. And I think most of you will be familiar with this routine now. If you've got a mobile phone, just use your camera on the QR code, click on menti.com, and there'll be a question for you about how the past week has been. I'm going to leave the QR code up for the next kind of 10 seconds to give you some time. And then we'll see how you guys have been doing. Maybe 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, that's good. So we've had over the weeks, we've kind of started off with everyone was saying the week was really easy, and I think about partway through it went to kind of quite challenging. So it's kind of averaging out about midway there. So I guess some of you finding it challenging, some of you maybe if you finished your pitch deck already, maybe it's been a kind of quite an easy week for you as well. Okay, great. So another question, we've got another Menti to do another online poll, and this is about what worries you most about pitching. Now you can write. I would probably expect you to write just a one-word answer here. If you want to write a couple of other words, you can do. I'll give you a little bit longer to do this one. So is anything that's been kind of troubling you, anything you're kind of really nervous about when it comes to pitching? I guess some of you have had experience doing this in the past, others of you won't. So especially for those of you who haven't done it before, what is the thing that kind of like you're most concerned about when it comes to putting together this pitch video? And again, you can just put a one-word answer. Okay, I'm going to move the QR code on and see how you responded. So we've got a mix here. Okay, so pitching. Okay, pitching. 4 minutes recording. Yes, that's a real challenge, that to get your whole concept into 4 minutes. Especially some of you have got some quite complex apps, but it's a real discipline and very useful thing, especially when you come to like pitching for investment in the future, to be able to do a very concise outline of what your business is and how it's going to make money. Yeah, texting detail, speaking too fast. Yeah, that's a problem I think we all face. It's something you learn to kind of slow down. Obviously, you don't want to slow it down too much, but there is a temptation where you've got like 4 minutes to make it really, really quick and trying to fit too much in. Making it short but understandable. Video editing with my face on it. So we recommend you do the video with your face on it. I guess if anyone doesn't want to do that, it's not mandatory, but I think it really helps in the communication of your app. Visual.
Sorry, Ben, just a small note. It is mandatory.
Oh, sorry, it is mandatory. So you have to.
It is mandatory to have the face on the screen.
Okay, beg your pardon.
No worries.
4 minutes, yep, the time limit. Prototype walkthrough. We'll talk a bit about prototype walkthrough today, so hopefully that answers some questions. Communicating an idea properly. Yep, it's a hard thing to do, but when you can do it right, it's really powerful. Use of colors. Okay, we'll touch on that. Covering anything with time limit, keeping the demo under 1 minute. Video. Not being as I wanted it to be, or don't show what is really in my mind. Yeah, I guess that's another kind of concern that you can't quite communicate what you want to. So I think really preparation's key here, and taking the time to get your messaging right, and maybe practice with some friends as well, or friends or family. Just kind of the actual act of actually talking through and trying to communicate it to people and getting that feedback is really useful. Great. Okay. Some good challenges to face us in this session. Okay. What's it? So let me just do it here. Okay. So before we start as well, we've got actually this week we've only got one template we sent round. It's about writing an opening hook. So if you've got the link, open it up and you can drop the image into your Miro board. Like I said, it's only one template. So if you don't have that, it's fine. You probably just use your Miro board anyway. But if you've got that folder open, then just drop it in. And also another template for today, just to have in mind, is the pitch guide, which you can download from the App Olympics website. And this is going to be useful. Maybe you're going to have this in the background somewhere, so you can kind of just refer to it. But this is going to really help you put together your pitch presentation. Okay, so let's get on with refining your pitch deck. Now, before we start, we've got a quick video to show.
You want to tell everything about your business, but as humans, we're just not programmed to process detail. So one of the most powerful things you can do is break things down into threes. Three is a really easy number for people to remember and absorb. Once you get to 4 or 5, they start getting a little bit confused. So keep things simple, keep it on headlines, and give them 3 powerful messages that capture what you're doing. So for example, when you talk about your product, you've probably got 10, 20 things you want to tell, but force yourself to find the 3 most important things and see if you can break it down into 3 words.
Right, so that's just a kind of, it's a great bit of advice.
Okay, then.
There seems to be some talking in the background, sorry. Okay, yeah, can everyone mute their mics? Thank you. Oh, sorry, I'm going to stop again. Yeah, I was just saying that the idea of having that kind of power of 3, this is going to apply throughout. So when you're making your kind of arguments on each slide, that idea of being able to do 1, 2, 3, it doesn't always have to be 3, but it's a very good kind of trick to really kind of create a very powerful presentation. So what we're going to talk about first is the introductory slide. And this is where you introduce your app concept. And what we're suggesting here, rather than, I mean, I've talked to some of you in the mentoring sessions, And there is a temptation to write out like a whole big page with absolutely everything on it, almost like you're kind of recreating your app business canvas in one slide. This first slide should be very simple, and we call it a hook because it's like a hook. It's hooking people in to your presentation. And there are a number of ways you can do this, and we're going to come on to writing your hook a bit later on in the session. But really what you want to do is explain what your app does and why it's important. Try and use very non-technical terms. And maybe even you could include like a simple visual, maybe like your homepage on your app, just to kind of bring it to life a bit. Yeah, we'll go into more details about the how to write the hook, but it's really important to have this kind of starting point that's very simple, and people just get into the right mindset and go, it's going to be about this.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. So to Ben's point, the starting page or your title page is not a mini description of the presentation. It's just to get the job of that starting page is to get people's attention to listen to the rest of your pitch. The same way, if you're going to do an email marketing campaign, what is that subject line that's going to make people even click on the email in the first place?
Yeah. So it could be like a provocative question. We're going to go into more details of it. Like, it could be like, have you ever experienced this problem? Or it could be something like, we are the Uber of healthcare, or something like that. Something that's really kind of powerful and brings people in. But we'll get a chance to look in more detail in an exercise a bit later. Secondly, there's want to really talk about detailing the problem you're solving. And this is your opportunity to deep dive into the problem you're solving for your customers. I've seen some of these. Some of you guys have already put them together in your slide decks, and it's been really good actually. Some of them are really good, and I think a lot of you got onto the idea of like, this is a place you can put some of your evidence, some of your statistics. So you've got like some good numbers to say why this is a problem. This is where you put them in, and just kind of outline the key pain points you're about to solve. Now, don't put the solutions in this slide. You'll have some slides later to talk about the solution. So here's an example. I think this was Airbnb's one. It's actually taken from their slide deck where they talk about the problem. So they talk about price is an important concern for customers. Hotels leave you disconnected from the city and its culture, and no easy way exists to book a room with a local or become a host. Again, they're using the power of 3 there, kind of to get that really powerful message across. And you can see it's like super simple. They've highlighted the kind of the key words, and I come away with that going, yeah, I get what you're trying to solve here. Or another one from Dropbox. And here they've used an image. They've actually split this into 2 slides, which you can do. Obviously you've got that pitch deck thing, but as long as you can keep it within the time, and we're estimating around about 30 seconds per slide, you can split some of these out into multiple slides. So they've really kind of driven home the problem of like storage is a mess by showing you this kind of crazy picture of okay, God knows what. It's kind of like, you can tell it's aged a little bit, like this is from kind of the 90s. What is it, 2007? 2007, and it's still a pain to work on multiple computers, share files across a team, put photos, video onto the web, and protect files from loss. Simple, really straight to the point. And it's written in a language that everyone can understand. So the next bit is you then kind of defined your problem. And for some of you, I think in the mentoring sessions as well, you weren't sure where to put your solution. So obviously you've got the prototype walkthrough, which will explain what your solution is. But I think for some of you as well, especially when it's like a little bit more complex, this is a good place to actually go into a little bit of detail, at least like a high level overview of your solution and how it solves the problem. And really this is an opportunity to say what it does, like in about a sentence. What are the key benefits and value that your solution provides? You could include like a quick, like a diagram of how it works, maybe like a kind of a step 1, step 2, step 3, which is a nice way of like really simplifying and explaining how your solution works. And one thing to do here is not to go into the screen details. So you're going to have the prototype walkthrough to do that. So don't use this to put like kind of 12 screens and just like maybe a couple of screens and maybe some explanation of what it does. Again, you can split it into a couple of slides if you can keep it within the time. So defining your audience and opportunity, I think we touched upon this a bit last week, talking about sizing your market. So if you've done your market sizing exercise, maybe you could show a diagram with those circles of your kind of total addressable market going down to your kind of obtainable the obtainable market. And also this is also an opportunity you could put some like some data in here about trends. Let's say you're entering a market that's looking to kind of double in size in the next 10 years. This is a place where you could put that. And here's a good example. I'm not sure which company this is. I can't remember which company it is, but it's basically showing this is your total addressable available market, all the way down to what you seem as be attainable within the first few years. And again, like some big numbers, keep it very, very simple and clean. Here's some more examples. This is judging by the typeface. This is also Airbnb, and again, they just took like a couple of slides. Again, they showed their market sizing, and they've also shown here some validation. So they've taken competitors or similar brands out there that are kind of targeting a similar market and said, okay, well, Couchsurfing.com, they've managed to achieve 660,000 total users. So that's a good indication that we could end up with a similar number or greater. So also you want to highlight what makes your app unique. And again, in the template, there's a dedicated slide for this. So how your app stands out, and what are your unique selling points? So for this, you can just talk about your unique selling points. You can also at this point maybe make some reference to where you sit in the marketplace, like almost like a kind of positioning. Remember, you've also got some slides later on for like talking about your competitors. If you want to, you could probably also kind of combine these two, or like to have them side by side, have your competitors first and then what makes your app unique. Yes, it's up to you about how you want to kind of best make that narrative. So this is an example showing some competitive advantages. So in this example, I think again, this must be Airbnb again. So they're saying that they will be first to market for this specific unique selling point. That they will also make money from the host also makes money as well. So there's an incentive for that side of the marketplace. I'm not going to go through all of them, but yeah, these are some kind of very key advantages. You might have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 key advantages you have over the rest of the market. And this is a place really to kind of put those in to kind of make the case for you as a differentiated product. So yes, you also want to start looking at people, well, both investors, but also the judges. They will be really interested in who you are and what you bring to this space. So this is your opportunity to talk about you and your personal motivation and the expertise that you bring here that inspired you to build the app and your vision for its future. So obviously we don't want to have a complete life story. So you want to keep it simple and then also obviously relevant to your product as well. So share your personal journey. Maybe you want to talk about what first inspired you to come up with this app. Maybe it's a problem you experienced. Maybe you saw other people experiencing problems. You think, I really need to solve that. Trying to keep this like very personable, relatable, and also short, because you've got like a slide. Again, you don't want to kind of write out too much. So it's just so people get a flavor of who you are and why you've brought this app into the world.
Yeah, from an investor point of view, they want to know two things. Why should I care about your product? And why are you the right person to deliver this product? That's what this slide needs to do.
Exactly, exactly. And then you can go on to talk about your team. You can kind of showcase, talk about the kind of the team's expertise, and you can also include advisors there as well if you've got a kind of a larger like team. And really, this is a point where you put in things like your past experience, what your kind of current and past job roles have been. Obviously, you want to keep it relevant to the app as much as possible. This is a place you could put in some photos as well. I've seen some of you guys, you put in some quite nice kind of, you have like, each of you has a photo, your name, what you bring to the team, and also like some current expertise that you bring to the app build. So here's an example. And here it's quite a good idea. If you've had, if you've had the experience where you've worked with multiple brands, maybe you could use some logos here. Really kind of makes it stand out. Here as well, if you're working with other kind of, let's say, agencies or organizations, you could just put the name of that agency or organization you're working with.
This slide becomes really important when, for example, you don't have any traction yet. You're just in idea stage, so you can't sell the value of your product yet. So instead of doing that, you're selling the value of your team and your experience up to date.
Exactly, exactly.
So I just have one quick question on that one.
Yeah.
What happens if it's just you? So I think I've got a bit too much. What have I got on my one? On my one where I did that screen. So for team members, I just did like a personal story, the founder, as in like my name, the title, and experience highlights, and then companies I work for with their logos, and then a future vision for the team and future roles for the team that we're going to be looking forward for. Is that something that I should kind of like just take out then? Like how would a single person go into this one screen but actually tell a story?
Yeah, so good question. I would actually put the placeholders because you will be hiring these people. They will be fundamental to your business. So you don't necessarily need to have a name. And in reality, a lot of startups are hiring all the time. So whether you're coming in just by yourself, or maybe it's just you and a CTO and you're still looking for a marketing expert, you can have those placeholders, because that then communicates to the investors that, oh, okay, I can see what he's already doing. It's almost like your team roadmap that you're displaying.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. So I get what you're saying. So keep the future vision for
Yes.
what team you're looking for with the key roles you're going to be looking for, like CTO, team tech leader, logistics, and so on. But keep it simple. And then are you saying take out like I see on your screen you don't have the experience highlights, so things like that should just come out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. This particularly, I think, yes, you're right. We've kind of got the experience in terms of the companies they've worked for, which kind of tells a story in itself.
Yeah.
I guess you'd make the assumption that because he's CTO, there'd be like a development role here or a CTO role.
But he could be doing anything at PayPal. He could be a call center person starting from the bottom and then worked himself up.
No? He could be, but bear in mind, you're also talking through this as well. So into this, you could also talk about. So probably what you don't want to do is like overload this. So you don't want to put the role for each of the companies, for example. Maybe what would be good to add here, which we haven't got, is maybe just like a couple of maybe a quick phrase on like what their key expertise is. So I think you're right. I think this would benefit. This one we're showing you here would benefit from a little bit of maybe like a one-liner on expertise as well.
That's fine. That's great. Thank you so much for that.
No worries.
This is more basically.
So less is more, I think, with all of this, especially on your visuals as well, because you are going to be talking at the same time. And what you don't want to be doing is literally reading out what's on the screen, because it doesn't really help anyone.
Okay, sounds fair. Thank you.
Great. Okay. And for anyone else, if you have any other questions, just like Faisal did here, you can just like put your hand up or kind of chime in if you've got a question about any of these slides. Okay, so the next bit, and this is the kind of the important bit, is showing how the app works. And this, we're going to look at how you do that a bit later in the session. But this is where you provide your explanation of how users are going to interact with your app, and you're going to show your video of video or click through of the prototype. Yeah, I think we won't go into too much detail here because we're going to talk about it in a sec. Andile, you've got a question.
Hi, Ben again. Okay, with me, under the section where you need to share, the background story as to how the idea came about. So I wanted to share my personal story because the idea came about, when I was given a job to do when I was still in the event management space. And I couldn't find service providers because it was during December, which is a peak season. So most of the service providers that I used to work with, they were out of the things that I was looking for. And also I had also, financial constraints at the time. So I needed to share that story, but due to, limited time, I decided not to share the story because it's very hard to fit everything in that 4 minute.
Yes, I mean, so have you already created your video? So you're already done, then? Is that what you're saying? You're finished?
No. I'm not completely finished. I'm trying to to bring it down to 4 minutes, but
Okay.
I'm not winning. I'm not winning. So
I
I will
mean,
share my
I think
video.
I,
Yeah, I
I,
will share
I
my
think
first video that I made with you.
well, let's we've got a section at the end to run through the video. And
Yeah.
that'd be great to see it.
All
I
right.
think what you just described there. I mean, you don't have to go into too much more detail about that. Maybe just focus on spend a few words just defining what that problem you face. And as if you were kind of bulleting it, just mention the other key things about the availability and the cost and so forth. I think from what you were just describing, you don't have to go into too much detail, but just explain that kind of key scene and the key things. I think even in that kind of 30 seconds of what you were just talking through, I got a sense of your personal story there. So I think if I would advise you to go back to it and just try that again, because what you just explained to us there seemed to kind of communicate in quite a short space of time why you came up with the idea.
All right. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, so breaking down the revenue model again. At some point in your presentation, you talk about your revenue, although you don't necessarily have to have finalized all your pricing and all your projections. We would like to understand how your app is going to generate revenue. So what kind of pricing model you're using, and ideally, if you've got some kind of metrics, so you could put in you would anticipate if you set the price at this, you're going to project X amount of profit. It would be good to have at least some sense of the amounts of money you're going to be able to raise and that you have to make and how you're going to make it. You don't need, like I say, these don't have to be finalized. So you can say these are estimated prices, but it'd be good to show that you've kind of been thinking about how it's going to be commercial. And here's an example of simplifying your business model. So this is, I think this was probably this is Airbnb again. They basically say, look, it's going to be a commission on each transaction. They've estimated 10%, and if you assume a certain number of assume a certain market share and an average fee, this is what the revenue you're going to get. So very, very simple. Obviously, they've also below each one, they've put what they're basing that on. So $80 a night at 3 nights for the kind of the average fee, and then when they're projecting it by. This is a really good example, really clearly, quickly. I've got the pricing model, I've got the projected revenue, and I've got how you came to that calculation. Okay. Oh, actually, before I leave that, has anyone got any questions about business model? Because I know this is one that kind of keeps coming up a lot.
I have a question.
The word commission, sorry, Faisal, go ahead.
No, please go ahead first.
So Ben, the word commission is used in negative, or it is perceived in negative manners in some culture, some regions. So is it okay to use the word commission? Or?
I mean, if you feel it's going to have a negative connotation in the context of the UAE, etc., then don't worry about putting that. You could choose a different word. Yeah, so I mean, I think with all these things, if you feel that it's going to cause like an issue, then don't include it.
Yeah. So commission, i.e., you can also, what I see a lot is service fees are replaced for the word commission as well. So
exactly.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you.
And Faisal, I think you had a question as well.
Yeah. Can I show you a screen just to get an insight?
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I think if you're on multi, can we? Do I need to do it?
No, I could do it. Just here. So this is. So is this too much? Like, does this tell exactly what I needed to tell? So the 10.8 is my SOM, is what the share of the market is for my TAM and for my SAM. So we come to 10.8, and then I'll break it down to what the average fee is per service. So it's a service booking, and then what the revenue, what the overall revenue will be, taking 10% of that SOM in the first year. So I didn't want to break it down what the projections were going to be, because I think it was coming up like stupid figures in the billions, but I needed to be a bit more realistic. So that's why I mentioned we'll take 10% from the SOM of the 10.8. And then I went into like the little, so I made obviously a note at the bottom to be realistic, reflecting between 5 to 10% on user penetration. Is that too much, or should I just make it simple but talk about it in the video?
I would say probably just maybe that the kind of the text below. So I think everything's great. I think it's really good. But
Just
maybe
take this out and take this out.
yeah, and then just talk to that because I think that's going to be a little bit, because by the time people have read through that, you're going to have moved on the slides. So, but just yeah, just talk to that. I think this, in terms of the presentation, that looks great. That looks really good. That's exactly what we want.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Okay, it's just because I don't know, because your screenshot says what you lot provided us. It says revenue model and profitability. So
Yeah.
do you have to do that on two separate screens or on one screen? Because here I talk about what the model will be look like. So we do service fees, premium services,
Yeah.
indirect revenue streams,
Great.
and maybe subscription services for future opportunities. But
Yeah.
then I'll go into the next screen talking about the model.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
am I
perfect.
getting that wrong?
You don't need to, like, so obviously we're saying you don't need to stick to, let's say, 12 slides. If you want to use more slides, you can use more. The only thing you've got restriction on is the time. So obviously if you put like, I don't know, 6 slides for this, it's going to be crazy because you're going to have to go through them really quickly. But something like this, where you've got 2 slides, you kind of, first of all, you show all the different aspects of your commercial model, and then you say what that equates to in terms of overall money. Perfect.
yeah,
Okay. Because I saw on obviously what you lot provided, it says you get bonus points for indirect revenue streams. Now I just made it simple, like talking about collaborating with airlines, hotels, travel agencies. Do I have to go into that in more detail in the video, or does that actually or would that for investors already make sense that he's talking about indirect revenue? We know how he's going to do it. He's already said he's collaborating with XYZ. Actually tells the story itself.
Yeah, so realistically, you will have one revenue stream that vastly outweighs all the rest.
Which is
So
that one there, which is my service fees.
Exactly. So that will be kind of like your core driver. That will probably be the one that you want to go into detail if you had that additional slide. But then just calling out the fact that you thought about additional revenue streams is a bonus. But in most cases, the key revenue stream, the one that's going to keep your company afloat versus the other ones, is probably the one that you want to kind of talk a little bit more about.
Yeah.
So okay, so can you just explain that to the group so I've got 4. If I take my service fees in one slide, how would I make that my key standout?
So you've got on slide 12, right?
So 12, yeah.
So this would probably describe
What is it?
that
This is
main
about that service fee.
service fee, right? Because this is the thing driving your entire revenue model is the service fee. Then your ancillary revenue streams are just almost like an FYI. And I'm also exploring or looking at these additional revenue streams just to diversify where I'm getting my money from.
So for example, we would say, so we make, or we take, or we make, can I say we make money?
Yeah, but we won't solution it on the call now.
No, I'm just saying, is that something,
There's a
is that
place to
something
do
we
that.
say, like, because I saw the Airbnb, it says we take 10%, but would this be, we make, do we say we make money? Is that like,
I mean, you can describe it however you want. I mean, I think
okay.
as long as this, I mean, just to explain, when you're on this one, this is like about the service fees. So so you're saying we're based on an average, I don't know, 2% service fee. This is what you're going to get. I guess that's
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you so much.
no worries. Great. Okay. So now we look at like sharing your go-to-market strategy. And this is really, again, you'll need to keep it kind of quite simple and clear, but it's a plan of how you're going to attract the users and grow your app. So you can talk about the marketing channels or priority marketing channels, any partnerships you're looking at, or let's say campaigns, influencing campaigns is obviously a good one. And then just talk about over the next, let's say 12 months, how you're going to acquire users. So like you're going to be looking at, I don't know, 100,000 users by the end of the first 6 months, maybe double that by the end of the first 12 months. So you can make this more of a projection at this point. It's an estimate. And maybe if you want, you can put a little diagram showing like how you're going to increase your customer acquisition over time. Also allied to this is like your traction and goals. So actually, yeah, so this is where you're kind of saying your user growth. So actually, sorry, the first one was more about the channels, and now this one is then you can show those milestones. So what are your goals for the next 12 months in terms of customer acquisition? And if you've already got some customer acquisition, or you've done some kind of research, you've done some kind of testing, you also can include that as well. So you can say, we haven't actually launched yet, but we've reached out to, I don't know, 500 people, and like, I don't know, 50 of them signed up so far, or something along those lines. So that'd be a useful place to put that in to say if you've actually achieved any early evidence of traction.
Yeah, and similar to the revenue streams, it's highly likely that you will have one dominant channel that will drive the majority of your traffic or your customers. Then maybe that's how you build it into your roadmap, where you say, you know, we'll start for the first 12 months on one channel, and then we'll diversify out into different channels.
Yeah, exactly. So here's an example. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. I think this Kickstarter, this one was we found on Kickstarter. I think maybe this is, you probably want to kind of this is kind of quite long term. Maybe you want to look at it more in terms of like the next 12 to 18 months. So this is kind of just showing different stages, but you might want to have slightly different stages to this. You also want to highlight your competitive edge. So maybe highlight a few key competitors and show how you position against them in terms of where they have strengths versus weaknesses, and how your app is going to be able to compete and exceed in this marketplace. You could use a competitor map. If you go back to one of our earlier webinars where we showed that kind of matrix of indirect and direct competitors, you could use things like that. Or you could show different factors. So maybe it's like price versus accessibility or something. And you can show where you map onto it compared to your competitors. And here's a good example. Airbnb, again, showing price versus whether it's online or offline transaction, which is kind of equates a bit to kind of convenience. And Airbnb showing that they kind of succeed, they exceed both on affordability and the fact that they are an online rather than offline transaction.
The last 20 seconds.
Sorry, just jumped into that a bit too quickly. Sorry, here's another video, just automatically runs, on about how to create a good closing. So obviously you get to the end of your pitch presentation. How do you kind of sign off?
The last 20 seconds of your pitch is the last thing they will think and feel about you and your business. And yet most pitches finish really weakly. Well, that was it. And any questions? And my advice is have a plan exactly for the last 20 seconds, as well as the opening. Tell them, this is what you've seen. This is what we want you to do. This is who we are. This is what we do. And finally, finish with thank you, so they know they can clap.
There you go. So try and get a strong finish at the end. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about how to present your project now.
Yeah. So I'll just jump in. Hi, everyone. How's it going? Thanks, Ben. So this section is very much about how you present your project. And the first thing we want to cover is very much that opening hook statement that we had mentioned in the beginning of the session.
A lot of pitches go wrong right at the very beginning, where people start weakly and don't get into the story. They start kind of, well, yeah, thanks for the opportunity and I really appreciate, and so on. Be a professional. Have a plan from the very first second of what you will say. And that might be about your business, might be about your personal story, but whatever it is, have a concrete first and second sentence that you will say. That gives much more professional feeling and gives the audience the feeling, hey, I want to listen to this. This is somebody who's into it. So for example, you could simply start by saying, this is who we are, this is what we do, and this is the value we're bringing to our customers. But you could also start by giving 3 facts about the problem that you're fixing, making it very concrete and clear what your business is all about.
Perfect. So as you mentioned, it's very much about getting that opening hook. And the whole purpose here is to catch people's attention off the bat to make sure that they're listening for the next 4 minutes. So 4 areas that we would actually recommend looking into is starting with the first one, starting with a bold statement or statistic. An example here is, every 10 seconds, someone struggles to find a trustworthy contractor. We're here to fix that. So here they've outlined the actual problem and that they're here to actually solve that. Second thing is posing a provocative question. For example, why are we still wasting hours on outdated job application platforms? So this makes it clear to the audience that, hey, this is the problem that they're trying to solve, and it's about wasting of time. Third element is about using a relatable problem or story. So imagine the second point here. Imagine being able to access your entire health record with one tap. That's the problem that we're solving. So here he outlines the problem, the solution, and very clearly says accessing your entire health record with one tap, so ease of access. Fourth element here is highlighting your unique value proposition. So what makes you stand out? First one here is, we're the only app that guarantees delivery within 10 minutes, no matter where you are. A bold, clear statement straight off the bat. The second point as well is very clear. Unlike other apps, we don't just track your expenses, we help you grow your savings. Again, very good hook to the start of the presentation to make you wonder, okay, what else is this about? Tell me more about the solution.
Sorry, I can move this on.
So there's a good quote by, oh, sorry. All good. Yeah. There's a good quote by the CEO of Founder Institute. His name's Adio Rossi. I'll just, yeah, so he states, one of my biggest pet peeves is when founders pitch me a business and they don't clearly define who their customer is. If you don't know the who, it's very hard for me to understand the what or the how. So to reiterate again, you have to understand the customer, make it clear. Who is it that you're actually solving for? Who is that persona? There were several sessions we went through and really tried to identify and help you guys identify who that persona is, because that's who you're solving for.
Sorry.
So what we want to do is actually run a quick exercise to write an opening hook. So we want to make it bold, as a bold statement. We want to make it, create a statistic. We want to pose maybe a provocative question. The aim of this opening hook is to open up your 4-minute pitch to really capture the interest of the audience straight off the bat. So take the next 2.5 minutes or so to come up with an opening hook, keep it short and sweet. And then next, we're going to actually be asking for any volunteers who'd like to share that opening hook so we can give feedback and we can understand, you know, how to really create that compelling initial hook. Also, if you have finished your opening hook, feel free to share it in the chat as well. And myself and the team will be able to give you some feedback, maybe, you know, come back with any questions or recommendations on maybe making it even stronger. Ben?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you mind muting? Just, sorry. Thanks. So remember, the opening hook, again, is very much that initial attention grabber, right? You're really trying to capture the attention so that the rest of the pitch goes smoothly. I usually say the first 60 seconds of the pitch are the most important. It's that initial pitch, the initial opening hook, and then following that, exactly how you speak and how you deliver what you're trying to say, that makes the biggest difference. And then, of course, at the end, you've got the closing, which is the last 20 to 30 seconds, which is going to leave that impression. So the beginning and the end are, in my opinion, the most important parts of the pitch. You have about a minute left. I did forget to mention in the Miro board, you do have this template of the opening hook. So you can use this now, or you can use this later as an exercise with some examples at the bottom there, which are referring to those bold statements and statistics that are used, relatable problems and stories. Oh, okay. We've got one example in the chat already, Andile. Thank you. He states here, did you know that more than 60% of small businesses fail in the first 3 years due to lack of working capital and access to the market? So here he stated the statistic, an impressive one, that businesses fail within the first 3 years. So it's a big problem, and it's due to the lack of working capital. So it's clear to me and to whoever the audience is, okay, well, this is what he's going after. He's going to try to solve that, and that's a big problem. There could even be a monetary amount there as well. So 60% of small businesses fail, losing out on $100 million or something. If there's anyone that'd like to volunteer, we've just got 2 minutes here. If anyone wants to raise their hand, or they can throw in their opening hook into the chat as well. Hansuman, perfect. And Gada as well, I believe, right?
Yeah. So my hook is, did you know that in 2022, there were 20 million new cancer cases globally? There were 9.7 million deaths due to this. By 2040, as per the current statistical models, there will be 30 million new cancer cases and 15.3 million deaths. OncoCare is going to reduce the number of cancer deaths.
Wow, very powerful. Future, and basically, it's impactful, right? Now I'm like, okay, well, how are you going to solve this? I'm curious, you know, I'm personally curious. How are you actually going to solve this? Looking at the projection, it's crazy, right? People are dying, so we need to figure out a solution, and obviously you're after it. We have a couple others in the chat. So we've got Mazir here. He mentioned, have you ever started an online course and quit halfway? So simple, clear. I understand now that he's actually targeting people who take online courses and quit too soon. I would say, you know, if you could put like a statistic there, that would be great. Like 80% of people that start an online course stop halfway or don't finish it. We've got another one here. Sorry, let me see here. Imagine you're a doctor swamped with patients and paperwork, trying to diagnose patients quickly and accurately. Wouldn't it be great to have a little helper? So this is your solution, right? Sorry, the problem that you're trying to solve is essentially swamped patients and paperwork. Again, this is a good one. However, I would also say, how can you turn it into some statistic, right? How can you say, like, you know, 80% of doctors are swamped with patients and paperwork, and it it leads to then misdiagnosing patients or not being able to diagnose correctly, or patients have to wait 6 hours in order to get diagnosed because of how swamped doctors are. So keeping a little bit more impactful and like measurable as well. Perfect. I think we need to move on actually, because we're right a little bit behind on time, Ben. Perfect. Okay. You're just on mute. Sorry.
There we go. So yeah, what I want to talk now, and I think this is a lot of what people have been asking about, is how to walk through your prototype. And I'm just going to give a quick example of Loom, which we touched upon a few sessions ago. I'm just going to show a quick video. You might need to turn your volume up a little bit. I think it's a tiny bit quiet, but let's do this.
Okay, so what I'm showing you now is a way to display or to present your mobile app prototype using a screen recording. So I'm using software called Loom at the moment, but you could use any screen recording software. There's a lot of screen recording applications built into, let's say, Mac OS, also Windows. So what I'm showing you here is my prototype, and you can obviously click through. I'm just showing you some of the kind of the interactions we looked at just now, and you can then walk through your prototype scenario by scenario to be able to bring out the key features and describe exactly what your mobile app will do.
So I don't know if people have had a chance to have a go at using Loom. You can also use other things, other screen recording software. So Mac OS, for example, has screen recording built in. I believe Microsoft, you can do that as well. Yeah, just get a screen recorder and record yourself walking through your prototype. So while you're doing in order to plan for what you're going to show in your prototype, you need to think about what things you're going to focus on, because you can't show everything. So really what you want to do is select the moments that bring most value for the customer, but also include moments of value for your business. So there might be kind of key points at which, like, you get payment, for example, or maybe it's the end of onboarding. You say, look, you've just acquired a new customer. Try to include those elements which are distinctive, so your USPs. And you can also split these up into multiple scenes. So you don't have to be, so for example, maybe you have an app where you have to make a booking, and then maybe later that week, then you get a notification saying you're ready to kind of go to your appointment or whatever you're doing. So those are two different scenes. You don't have to have like a continuous time frame on this. So split up into different scenes, and while you're doing this, don't describe every element on the screen. So I don't want you to go through and say, no, we've got a table here, and then you've got like a drop down. You're just going to waste time doing that. Instead, you're trying to tell a story. So yeah, try and kind of focus on those kind of key elements. And I know you've got only a minute, but try and set it up so you're not rushing through screens. If anything, you want to choose your screens wisely and maybe reduce the number of screens, and you can then maybe make that part of your story where you kind of talk through rather than having to show every single screen.
Yeah, I think we mentioned this before, but your job during this demo is to demonstrate the value of your product. It's not a user experience exercise. So showing the wealth of screens may be less valuable than actually showing just the key ones.
Exactly. And I'm just going to mention this because you've already done this in the other webinar, but like, try to prioritize which features to include. You've probably already seen this. And the goal here is to demonstrate value to the judge or the judges. So think about what you must have, what you should have, what you could have, and what things you just don't need to show. As I mentioned before, this is from another seminar, chunk out your scenes. So these might be kind of key moments in the whole user journey. And you can jump between these scenes. You don't have to make it kind of flow between all the screens. And yeah, once you've got those chunks, then you can like decide which of the screens you're going to include. And you're probably going to have like maybe up to about a dozen screens max in the time. Probably less actually, because a minute goes quite quickly. It depends how much detail you have on each screen. Okay, so in terms of how to format and present your slide deck, it's got a few videos just to explain a couple of useful software that we tend to use, but you can use other software. Here's an example for a software called Canva, which you use to create slide decks.
Right, now what we're going to look at is how to create your presentation. And we're going to be looking at an online application called Canva. Now, many of you may have heard of Canva before, many of you may have even used Canva. And basically it is an online design software that allows you to create a variety of different formats, including, and we looked at this before, online ads like Instagram ads, but also you can create presentations. And indeed, we've been using Canva over the last few weeks to present to you the webinars you've been participating in. So once you've signed up to Canva, you'll be looking at a page a bit like this. This is your home page. You can see I've already created some files within that. And there are a number of different ways of creating a presentation, but one way is to go and start looking for templates. So Canva has a very wide variety of templates you can use. And the one we'll be looking at now is presentations. And you can see here, there are a lot of different presentations. And I've actually, I think this is showing kind of recent. So you can type in something like investor and investor pitch deck. So I think that's probably going to be the closest to what you're going to need for the competition. Now, what you can see here is a lot of different templates, and I'm going to select one here. And you can see there's a number of different kind of pages. Now, we're not suggesting you necessarily follow the format in terms of the content that's presented here. You've obviously got your App Olympics format that you need to use. But in terms of the styling, and also in terms of the use of diagrams, etc., there could be a lot of good inspiration here in Canva that you could use. So you can see it's got a nice consistent typeface, a nice consistent kind of use of colors and layout. And also it has a little bit of kind of extra kind of flair here, like little bits of design to kind of really make the presentation pop out. So I'll just close this for now. There's other styles as well. You can use some that are a bit more photographic, or you could use stuff that's much more about kind of just kind of plain colors and layout. Let's have a look at another one. Okay, we've got another one here. And you can see actually a lot of the different content types they show here will actually match up to what you guys are needing to do within your pitch. And once you've selected one of these, so I could just customize this template. Takes a bit of time to come up, load up. Then you have a customizable template that has all the kind of look and feel, but obviously you can then go in and change the text. You can move things around. You can delete aspects of it that you don't need, for example. So this is a tool. There are other tools, online presentation tools out there as well, but this is just one that we find is particularly useful.
Great. So I think that gives you kind of an example of a software you can use if you haven't already chosen. Obviously, you can use other software like kind of Google Slides. There are a lot of slide online presentation applications out there, but Canva's particularly good. Okay, so now you've got your presentation. How are you going to then record your prototype and then put that into your presentation?
So in order to create your walkthrough video, you need to use a screen recorder. I'm using Loom, and in this case, I have my camera switched off, and that's so that I can upload it into my presentation, and then I can then record the whole presentation pitch with the camera on, and this avoids having two images of your face on the screen at any one time. So what you can do as you're recording is to start walking through your prototype and try and time this to a minute, because when you run the recording with your deck as you're recording it, you will then talk over the prototype for a minute. So just record this without any sound. Walk through. And then when you're doing the actual final pitch recording, you can do the talking over yourself.
Great. So yeah, this is one way of doing it. So you record your video, and then we'll show you can then insert that into your presentation.
So now you've created your pitch deck, and you've also created a video of your prototype being walked through. You can then add the video to your deck. So we'll just skip through this. And you can do that by uploading the video to Canva. So I will click on uploads. I've already actually uploaded. You can do that by clicking upload files. I've already uploaded the file. It takes a few minutes to upload sometimes with the big videos. And then I can then insert that into the presentation. I can kind of resize it a little bit here. I'm going to stretch it out. So now in your deck, you now have, when you get a click to present, you now have your prototype, which you can then talk over. So once you've got that, you can then, when you actually come to doing the video recording of your pitch, you can then just talk over it, explain it. So try and create a 1 minute walkthrough video, so then you can then talk through it in a minute.
Yeah. Now there are other ways of doing this as well. So you can kind of record two things separately. You could record your pitch and you could record your walkthrough separately and then join them up on a video editing software. So we're not saying this is the only way, but it's a kind of a simple way of doing it. And just to bear in mind as well, if you're doing that initial walkthrough video, make sure you don't have your face on it, because otherwise when you come to do the actual pitching video, you're going to have two of your face on it, which would be a bit weird. So yes, that's a way of doing it. Obviously, we'll be letting you have this webinar after the session, so you can kind of go back and do it in your own time. Okay, so now we're going to look at some tips for pitching, and I'm going to pass you back to Chris.
Hi, everyone. How's it going? Thanks, Ben. So now we just want to go over some final tips for pitching itself, as well as just some few pointers for your pitch deck too, just to round things off. And we also have an upcoming guest speaker who'll be speaking in a couple of minutes too. So the first thing here is related to communication. So this is bringing back the pitch deck coach.
Communication is what the listener does. It's not always about the story that I want to tell, but you want your audience to take action. So how can you get an investor to do what you really want him to do? Well, first, think about who that person is. Do your research. Find out what drives that investor. Is it purely money? Is it sustainability? Are there some other elements that they're interested in? And make sure you connect with the investor as a person. Show who you are and what you stand for. They really want to see your passion for what you're working on. And at the end of the pitch or the conversation, you want to find out if there's a match between you and the investor and what the next step might be.
So obviously this is like aimed more at investors, but the kind of the idea of like pitching at the right level for the judges is also very important.
Exactly, yeah. It's all about understanding your audience. For this competition, for example, you know the different categories that are being awarded. So understanding what are the sort of criteria of what they're trying to check off, and how can you speak to that versus on a personal level with the jury. But in general, it is very good in the future when there are plans to raise more money. You can understand your investor a lot more in advance.
Exactly.
So just some last pointers to presenting your video pitch. So start strong, gain interest and attention. We mentioned this before as well, that attention grabber in the beginning. Be straight to the point. So not too much fluff, don't ramble on, really try to get straight to the point. So as mentioned by Ben, I believe in Cass, less is more. Keep your eye contact, make sure you're expressive, make sure that you do have the right posture and gestures. It is going to be a video, so you can re-record, of course, but remember, it's very important that you keep sort of the same momentum throughout, and that you are expressive in the way that you're pitching. You have to give some sort of passion when you're talking, so that the investor feels that, so that the jury feels that, sorry. And finally, control your pace. The slides are there as visual aids. Add visuals to them to speak 1,000 words, as Cass had mentioned earlier. And really trying to make sure you don't speed too much and don't slow down too much, and just be very clear with the way that you're communicating.
Yeah, and actually on that eye contact one is quite hard to do, especially like a picture-in-picture. I'm guilty of this as well. Probably even now I'm looking at other screens, but it's very easy to get your eye caught by the picture of yourself, and then you end up looking at the bottom of the screen. So you have to maybe do it a couple of times, just practice looking into the camera, because it really does make a difference if you're kind of looking directly at the audience.
Exactly. Here is about standing out when you actually pitch.
One of the best ways to stand out with your pitch is to show what you really feel. You know, think about what makes you smile when you talk about your business. What makes other people smile? What do you think is the coolest thing about what you're doing? When you start sharing those things, that comes from your heart, not from your head. And people will feel your passion. They will feel a different energy when you talk really from inside you.
Again, this goes back to energy and passion. So it's very important when you're pitching. It might not be live, but it's very important to get that across, that you're energetic, that you're passionate, because as Casa mentioned earlier, the team is really, really important, the founder or the team members, that the jury believes that this team can actually bring the solution forward and continue to work hard and making this a reality. So that energy and passion is important. Here are some just final sort of tips for your pitch deck. We want to make sure that you minimize design elements and focus on readability, white space aesthetics. So having the visuals there is good, but don't overcrowd your slides. Remember, there's only so much a jury can pay attention to at the same time while you're speaking. So make sure it's impactful text. One example I like in the bottom left is the problem statement here. Employees spend 31 hours in unproductive meetings per month. That's amazing. That's a huge problem, and that's a lot of unproductive time, which the company is paying for. So it's very clear and straight to the point, and it doesn't really need any more explanation. Here you've got data. If you can get data and any insights, whether it's desk research or the customer surveys you've been doing, it's important to outline these because it speaks to how big the problem is or the solution. It really gives that sort of supporting evidence behind what you're trying to convey. So whether it's like 97% of people have this problem is better than most people suffer from this problem. So just use that data and insights if you can, the statistics, percentages. We've interviewed hundreds of people and they've all said this, right? So these types of things help to sort of back up what you're trying to say. And then finally, I would say spelling grammar check. So this is a big one. A simple spelling mistake can throw someone's attention off big time. So if I've seen multiple pitches, and if the first 1 or 2 slides has a spelling mistake, my mind has already started to drift off, and I'm like, okay, well, this is not as professional because they haven't actually vetted and double checked their work. So just double check this. A lot of people won't say it, but it's a big one, at least for someone like myself.
Just a quick one on that. Do we use English US or English UK? For example, optimization, is it with a Z or
in those cases, I think it's fine, just because it's not a spelling mistake. It's just a preference of English or the US writing. But it's more like actual spelling mistakes or a sentence that just doesn't make any sense. So avoid that type of stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then share your pitch deck around. So once you've got your pitch deck, share it. You've got the mentor that you can book. You've got friends, family, you've got colleagues. Share it around, get that feedback from them. Make sure you capture that feedback. Do they understand it straight away, or are they lost? Do they look at a slide for 2 minutes and they really can't understand what's happening here? So make sure you do that so you get feedback. You adjust your pitch and your pitch deck to the different audiences to make sure different types of people can understand it. Add in anything that's missing and clarify any uncertainties. You do not want an uncertainty in the beginning of the pitch to throw off a jury for the rest of the pitch, right? So just make it simple, clear, gather the feedback, analyze the feedback, and then act on these insights. So the last thing is a big one, and someone brought it up last session, but it's about your nerves, right? How do you manage your actual nerves? So here's just a quick video for you guys.
Well, there's one thing that you can do to manage your nerves, and that's learn the first 60 seconds. You know, when you stand up there, it's a pretty scary moment. Your body and your instinct tell you that you're under attack. But if you can deliver the first 60 seconds of your pitch successfully, you tell your body and your instinct, we're in control. Things are going well. We're not under attack. And that calms everything down. It reconnects your brain and you get into your flow. The first 60 seconds is the platform for a successful pitch.
I'll go further than that. I would say just rehearse your 4 minutes. So
yeah.
and just
Oh, yeah,
memorize
okay.
that. So it feels natural rather than like you're reading a script.
Exactly. It should be second nature. You guys have time to practice it and try to get it so it just there's no mistakes. You're able to practice it. You can run it through like 30 times if you want. But just get it right is important, and get that first opening very important, and that closing, as mentioned before.
And when you do go to actually do this in person, maybe for investors in the future, I think that getting that first 60 seconds and getting you on the right track at the beginning, I think is, if you're going to like focus on memorizing anything, get that opening really, really right. And then that just gives you the confidence. Conversely, if you stumble in the first 60 seconds, that can really impact your nerves, and it becomes very hard to pick it up from there on in.
Exactly. Next, I'd like to introduce the expert guest speaker for today. It's an individual called Armin Muradi. I believe, let me double check if he's here. He should be.
Here.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So I won't do the introduction, Armin, if you could do a background. Ben, if you could just go to the next slide so we have Armin's bio up. So yeah, Armin's a fantastic guy. He's co-founder and CEO of Casio. I'll let him speak a little bit more about himself, but he's done some very impressive things when it comes to pitching, from his pitch deck to his in-person pitches, live pitches, to Zoom pitches. He's done it all. So I'd like to hear from Armin.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you for having me here at App Olympics as a guest speaker. It's a privilege and an honor to share my experience with the future entrepreneurs of Dubai. So a little bit about my background. I'm a serial entrepreneur. This is my third startup. I have it's maybe the 10th startup, the third one that's working. I've done 2 exits previously, and one thing that is really, really important is your ability to be able to raise money, because in the beginning of the life cycle of your company, maybe the first couple of years, it's the oxygen that you need to be able to breathe. And myself, in my latest startup, it's not all announced yet. Very soon it will come. I've raised more than $30 million in the last 3 years for Casio from both local and international investors. And I've taken many different approaches, just like Chris said. I've done both the online pitches. I've done big demo days in Riyadh and in Abu Dhabi, and also done face-to-face pitches and meetings now at the later stage where relationship is very important. But in the early stages, the most important things to be able to successfully pitch, what I've learned is to be very confident. And a way to be confident is to research your audience. By that, I mean the individuals that are going to be part of your pitch, what their backgrounds are, what their industry backgrounds are, but also from an investor point of view, where they have invested before. If there is a VC or an investor that is heavily focusing on fintech and you're pitching a food app, they might be in a research stage. So you shouldn't feel thrown off when they ask questions that are not relevant. They might be able to do referrals to other investors that are more relevant to what it is that you are presenting. Another thing is to really pay attention to the body language of those that you pitch to. So just like Chris presented earlier, is to really know your pitch deck and really, really understand how you're going to pitch the first 1 or 2 minutes of your pitch, because that sets the tone for the whole pitch. And you get the opportunity to not look at your own deck, but rather at the video call of those you pitch to see when you say things, how they react. If their head tilts, normally means that they are very interested in what you're saying. If their head gets raised, means that they are very doubtful of what it is that you're saying. So you might need to explain a little bit more. But most importantly is to really, really be concise. Really drill down to the problem that you're solving and make sure that you showcase how big that problem is in the markets that you are planning to start launching, but also the region that you're planning to expand to. It's very important, and it sounds ridiculous to say, but TAM, SAM, SOM is very important to be able to display. Even if you wouldn't use those particular words, the investor would like to know how big your company or your application can become. And when you're showing the prototype of your app, it's very important that you show the easiest part of the app to understand. Don't drill down too much in the cool features, which you are very passionate about, more on a high level, what they need to see and what they believe is going to show general value to the world that is going to download and use your app. Because by the end of the day, those who buy into using your app rarely use many features. A great example is most people in the Middle Ages, like I am, the 40-plussers, we use an iPhone to sometimes take photos, mostly call. We really like Google Maps and WhatsApp. Beyond that, the technical features of the phone is not that important to us. So we are not interested in the cool Siri features and so on. So we are buying into the concept of the iPhone because it allows us to belong to something. And with your application, maybe you're solving for a problem that is very important to them, but try to solve a general problem with your application. And your confidence, again, is very important. This really shines through when it comes to the investors. When the investors see that you're confident in what you're talking about, and sometimes pause when you talk. So if they are asking a question, let them finish and wait a couple of seconds before you answer the question, because they might ask a follow-up question within their question. And don't feel scared. This really shows confidence if you can break down their question. Many times you will get from an investor a question like, how big is the target market that you're targeting? I believe it's women between 20 to 40 years old. How many women of that age exist in your market? And your answer might be, yeah, I believe that 60% of my clients are women and 40% are going to be men in the same age bracket. And the total amount is whatever the amount is, so that you fill up and don't only answer the question that they are asking. This also shows you that you have confidence. And the sixth thing to add is when the investors come with suggestions, a lot of the time, it is to throw you off to see if you are able to focus and that you know what your focus is. So don't be too agreeable when they do this. You need to be able to defend your thesis, not in an emotional way, but in a practical way. An example to that can be, in our case, we present that the total addressable market for what we do is approximately $100 billion in UAE alone. Now, when they look at what the GDP of UAE is, and they see, okay, so you have the ability to manage $100 billion of the GDP, that represents more than 10%, it's highly unlikely. What we need to explain is that the GDP and the way we manage money is very different. GDP is not directly correlated to what we do. We are a card solution. And try to explain the difference between 100 billion and the GDP. Instead of agreeing that, oh yeah, maybe $100 billion sounds like a lot, the GDP is not even $1 trillion in UAE. I think that's the advice that I could give. But the most important thing out of all of this is to have a red thread and try to be as concise as possible and be ready to be interrupted.
Mhm.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Raman. Thanks for coming. And yeah, and it's amazing what you're doing with Casio, and glad that you gave some insight into your next raise, which is happening. I didn't even know that. So it's good to see your journey so far. And yeah, keep at it. And you're an inspiration for everyone that's trying to get out there and build their app and their businesses. So thanks a lot for taking the time.
Thank you for having me, Chris. And good luck, everybody.
Yeah. Great. That's super useful. And really good to get perspective of someone who's had so much experience in this area of pitching, and presumably people pitch to you now as well. Great. Okay, so what we're going to do now is take a quick break, and when we come back, we would like to get some volunteers for people who would be prepared to either share their whole pitch or just share some screens, share some things they would like to get feedback on. Yeah, so I'm going to give you 2 minutes, and when we come back, we'll be looking at pitch practice. Great. Okay, now we're back. Before we go into the pitching, I forgot to say we've actually got an example of one of the pitch videos from last year. So this is from Takeem, which is an app around renting, and we're just going to show you this. The kind of the format might be slightly different, but it kind of gives you an example of how to pitch a successful app business. And before we start, just excuse, there seems to be some subtitles we can't get rid of, but just ignore those and just enjoy the video.
Hi, I'm Rakesh, co-founder of Takeem, and I'm a tenant. So it's driven by my own experiences of being a tenant and being ghosted by landlords not once, but twice for my security deposit that the idea of Takeem was born. What baffled me was that in a world where we expect to secure a taxi, takeaway, or trip in seconds, why do we tolerate this friction and uncertainty where we spend most of our time and money? Takeem's mission is clear, making renting as easy as ordering takeaway. Why now? Well, Generation Rent. It's 2.1 billion people trapped in an outdated rental cycle. And all across the globe, the rental experience is plagued by challenges. Takeem just doesn't address these pain points, we erase them from existence, whether it's uncertainty, time, cost, stress, or the sheer complexity of the rental process. Because we're living in a different reality. We've been conditioned by the likes of Uber, Amazon, Deliveroo, and that's what Takeem does. It's a renting experience designed for the modern world. So imagine a world where renting isn't a headache, but is a seamless, delightful experience. That's the world Takeem is crafting. What's our secret sauce? Well, it's our features. Our reviews product kickstarts this journey, guiding users through the rental maze with transparency. Then we add efficiency and convenience with digital documentation, online payments, and unique insurance products. We also bring properties to life with searchable TikTok-like video content and live video viewings. And with our AI-enabled tenant Tinder, we play matchmaker, pre-qualifying roommates, tenants, and landlords. So the beauty of Takeem is that we can save Dubai's tenants over $950 million a year while also guaranteeing landlords their rental payments. Our initial target market, Dubai, is the perfect city to launch Takeem, where 70% of the population rents and 36% are co-living. Our go-to-market strategy is to target tenants, agents, and alpha roommates with awareness and conversion campaigns. We've already laid the groundwork with over 1,000 conversations, launching a version 1 and a web API, and we're on the cusp of launching version 2.0. We've already got testimonials and validation from our first version. Our primary sources of income include a transaction model, a subscription fee model, and secondary revenue coming from commissions and advertising generated within the ecosystem. So we're accomplished founders with successful exits who have held global and senior leadership positions in industry-defining companies. My forte is in global brand scaling. Richard has a history of building companies to enterprise scale, and Pooja is a product and tech expert with a track record of transforming ideas into addictive solutions. But let's jump to the prototype. We designed the wireframes and the DFDs and the designs using the excellent Builder AI platform. So welcome to the Takeem app prototype, where we're serious about making your renting experience seamless and enjoyable. First things first, let's breeze through the onboarding process. If you're not new to this, you can jump straight to the home screen. So take a look around. You'll find a treasure trove of features, from listings of residential and commercial properties to the abilities to make and read reviews. Our app is the one-stop shop for renting, and we even have a blog for some lighthearted education. So let's dive back to the home screen. It's powered by Google Maps API, so you can search for properties via map or text, and it can show you reviews or available properties around you or adhere to a specific search. Click on a property and you can see all the reviews or availability within that building or specific apartment, no login required. Now, if you're in the mood to contribute, write a review. Select the type, whether it's neighborhood, rental, or agent, answer a few questions and submit. You'll be prompted to log in because we value real reviews by real renters. Back to the home screen, click latest reviews so you can stay in the know. You can even check out the top rated buildings, houses, and agents. So let's explore a review. We can look at the specific apartments, buildings, landlords, and agents. Photos of the building are just a click away, and of course, comments and reporting tools are at your service. Now let's talk listings. All the full screen video content because we're mobile native video first. You can scroll through or search for specific buildings, apartments, or neighborhoods. It's the perfect blend of TikTok and apartment hunting. And by connecting your specific requirements to your user profile, our AI-enabled tenant Tinder will assist in matchmaking for co-living or tenants. Found the apartment you really want? You can schedule a physical or video viewing, submit applications, sign contracts, make payments, all within the app. Convenience, right? So experiencing renting like never before with Takeem, where we add a bit of audacity and meets a lot of functionality. I would like to finish by saying team just isn't about the numbers. It's about being part of a global shift. So we invite you to be partners to ride the inevitable and rewrite the way people across the world experience renting forever. Thank you.
Great, and a strong finish there as well, to note. Just to note that the format there was slightly different. So he spent a lot longer on the prototype walkthrough and obviously didn't cover things in so much detail like competitors, etc. So in terms of when it comes to your one, you will still need to put those extra bits in about the competition and unique selling points. But I think it gives a good sense of the kind of the style, the kind of the pace at which he went through, and also some of the features he looked at in the prototype. You can see this gives you a kind of a sense of like maybe where you're going to end up with your pitches. Great. So now we've got around about 20 minutes, and we would look for some volunteers. Anyone who wants to show either part or all of their pitch presentation. And we don't assume necessarily you have the video yet. So if you've got some slides you want to just talk through, be great to see where you guys are at, and also to give you some really important feedback. So do we have any volunteers to practice pitching?
Hi Ben. Yes, I would like to volunteer. Yes, I've got a video. Yes, that I've already recorded, but it's not 4 minutes. It's longer than 4 minutes.
How much longer is it before?
It's about I think it's about 8 minutes, but you can use it as as a case study.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Before we do that, I just want to see if are there any other volunteers? So we're kind of mindful of time as well. Sorry, Cass.
All right.
Cass, did you want to say something?
No, it's okay. I was gonna say exactly the same thing. It was an 8-minute video. Let's see if there's others that want to go first.
Yeah, and if there are other people to go as well, we'll get maybe you could just do part of it rather than the whole lot. Is there anyone else that also would like to volunteer? I'm checking the chat. So we've got Ansuman. I want to go second. Okay, fair enough. Any others as well? So someone says my team is in the waiting list. If you can approve them. Could someone let some? I think there's some people that are trying to get into the. Is there anyone else that would like to volunteer to show some of their pitch?
I don't mind, but mine's not completely finished for pitching. But I could
Okay,
walk
no, that's
through it
fine.
my
That's great.
wireframes or like first time doing an app building.
Cool, and Jules as well. Maybe you could try. Great. So I think with that said, Andile, would you be able to skip to part of, so maybe, or either we do the first half, or because I think we've got a few people that would like to also pitch. Is there like a section you could like skip to and we could watch that?
I think maybe I can stop it halfway.
Okay, that'd be great. Sorry,
Yeah.
it's just a time thing because I want to get to everyone. Great. Would you be able to share your screen?
Oh yes, I can.
There you go. So you
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the video, and I'm still going to edit the pitch deck.
Yes.
So this is not the final pitch deck, yeah.
Great. And before you start as well, for everyone watching, yes, this is obviously Adile's taking a bit of a chance, going to show you everything. So yeah, we want to keep all the comments constructive. I'm sure it's going to be great. But yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay, great.
We haven't got any sound.
Hi, Andile. There's no sound on the presentation.
There's no sound.
He's got the sound at his end. It's just why is it not coming through on the Zoom?
But
I think you might be wearing headphones right now, right? So
Yes,
maybe
I
you should
am.
disconnect your headset and then press play so that we hear it back from the laptop.
That's a very good point. Yes.
Try again. Hi everyone.
Right. Yes. Yes. That's
Can you
good.
hear it now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Today I'm presenting the mobile application, which is one of our in-house project. So the Yonke app is a versatile platform that supports small and medium businesses across the globe. So it's an e-commerce platform that gives small and medium businesses access to market and also access to working capital, because these are the main challenges that small businesses encounter during the starting phase. So 60% of small businesses globally fail within the first 3 years due to limited access to market and lack of working capital. So our solution is to create an online platform that gives small businesses access to a huge pool of potential customers where they can upload their product and sell them online, or create an online profile or business profile showcasing their services to potential customers. And also our main feature is offering them a working capital, because we find that sometimes they struggle to meet the needs of their customers due to financial constraints. So we're here to assist them with real-time funding. So our AI system will be able to detect whether the small business owner will be able to repay the loan within a period of 90 days with 10% interest. So our market opportunity, or our target market, so is small and medium businesses, and more than 90% of the global businesses employ 70% of the workforce, and significantly contribute to the economies around the globe. And out of these 90% of small business owners or small businesses, 40% they struggle to get access to working capital or to finance. So what sets us apart is that our platform is all-in-one platform for SMEs, where they can get tools to scale their businesses. Our unique selling proposition is providing an inclusive, innovative platform to tackle the key challenges that small business owners encounter during the starting phase. We offer micro lending, facility payments, and distribution channels. So we handle the distribution channels when they get a customer, but I will unpack that detail later on. And the concept came about when I was working with small and medium businesses a few years back, where I encountered, or I realized, that many business owners struggle to get finance. That's the reason why many of them fail. So we want to be, to become the leading digital platform that empowers small and medium sized businesses across the globe. So our team is made out of 3 members, which is Andy Letaba, that's me. I'm the co-founder and the CEO. I've got extensive sales experience. I have been working with small business owners for quite some time. And Taskiana, she's our graphic designer, digital marketer, and content creator. Lokesh is the software developer in the team. Also, I'm going to show you a short video clip of the product. Okay, so here we've got events. So small business owners will be able to host events on our platform at a rate of $5. Then they'll be able to, their event will be seen by the end user. So the end user, let's say you are going to Johannesburg and you are looking for events happening or events that are happening around Johannesburg, we're able to search and find events in the Johannesburg area. The other, so here this is how it will look like when one searches for events. So these are the list of events. Then we've got another option, which is, or another feature, which is attenders. So here we connect business and other businesses who are looking for service providers, maybe looking for cleaning services or hygiene services. And then here it's a marketplace. Small business owners are able to post their goods and sell it online. Here also, this is groceries. We're going to partner with leading retail enterprises in South Africa that already have distribution channels. So we won't handle any distribution. We're just going to connect them with the customers and take commission from that.
So I think can we finish it there, just to give some other people some time. Thank you very much for that. Again, it's kind of brave being the first one to come forward with that. Yeah, it's looking good. I think you know already that obviously you'll need to condense down. I think in terms of the amount of time you're taking on each section. I think sometimes some of the visuals as well will need to be kind of tidy, maybe make some of the fonts a little bit bigger so you can kind of see it. And obviously the mobile phone, when you're looking at that, maybe try and make that bigger so we could see more. And I think the other quick bit of feedback would be to try and coordinate what we're seeing on the mobile app with a bit more of what you were talking about. Sometimes it didn't quite match up. And it would be good, I think, for the mobile walkthrough, maybe take like a couple of scenarios and just say, rather than just kind of like describing what's on the screen, it'd be good to kind of understand the kind of that customer journey through, to kind of understand where those kind of key points of value in. But yeah, really good. Does anyone else have any other comments before we move on? Cass, anyone?
Yeah, I think my main thing was just obviously the audio as well, just making sure that's really kind of doing what it's meant to do. Otherwise you lose a lot of the story by people not being able to hear the whole thing properly.
It might be Zoom as well, I'm afraid as well. So, but yeah, obviously when you check it back, make sure it's kind of loud enough. Great. Ansuman, would you like to go second?
Yes, sir. Let me share my screen.
And thank you very much, Andile, for doing that. That's really good. If you want to have any other feedback, we're still doing mentoring sessions, and I think we might have a Q&A as well.
No, thank you.
So has my screen come up now?
Yes, I think so. Yes, it has now. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can't hear you anymore. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So did you know that in 2022 there were 20 million new cancer cases globally? There were 9.7 million deaths due to this. By 2040, as per the current statistical models, there will be 30 million new cancer cases and 15.3 million cancer deaths. OncoCare is going to reduce the number of cancer cases and deaths. So our mission is to offer quality cancer care at affordable price points and make the overall experience of our guests stress-free by empowering.
I can't hear you anymore. We might have lost your audio. Has everyone got any audio, or is it just me?
No, we can't hear.
Ansuman, we can't hear you anymore. Okay. I tell you what, while Ansuman's sorting out his audio, was there anyone else? I think Jules, you mentioned you would like to present.
Yes, I would like to.
Okay, great.
Okay, screen share. I'll be there in a minute.
Okay, cool. Well, you've definitely sorted out the audio and yours. It seems to be a kind of quite a strong sound there.
Okay. I'm not sure how to screen share.
So at the bottom of the screen, there's a little, when you move to the bottom of the window, the Zoom window, and your mouse goes over the bottom, you should have like a little menu bar that appears, and there's a green button called Share.
Oh, okay.
Great. Cool. I think we've got
Okay.
you.
So the name of my startup is Earth Habitats. It's a real estate platform that leverages cryptocurrency for African countries and the world at large. So in developing regions, specifically Nigeria, over 90% of formal housing is undocumented. And because of this, there are lots of disputes that regard leasing, renting, and all things involving real estate. And this is where Earth Habitat comes in, using blockchain technology to create a digital ledger that makes transactions immutable and unchangeable. So I've stated the problem. It has problems that target the African market and the world at large. Lengthy paperwork, a lot of time doing transactions, there's lack of transparency. And for us here in the African continent, there's a high cost of cross-border investments. If I want to buy a property, let's say in London, I'd have to go through a lot of processes, extra fees, and eventually I pay worth a lot more than the price of what I'm trying to rent or lease or something like that. And this is where Habitat comes in, using blockchain technology as well while integrating cryptocurrency such as Ethereum, which helps to make your transactions faster and more streamlined, AI-powered listings and localized features. So as a mobile-first design, my targets first and foremost is the African market. They are the ones most affected by transactions and transparency in the real estate market. They are the primary targets. So why Ethereum as the major form of payments? I believe Ethereum has a widespread adoption rate already, which makes it easier to create transactions and to use smart contracts and even to tokenize real estate assets in the markets. And it has a wide market opportunity. I think a lot of African countries are beginning to adopt cryptocurrency, specifically Nigeria, Ethiopia, South Africa. Just between July 2023 and June 2024, Africa recorded $125 billion in crypto transactions. And that's a very wide market and it's set to go even further and even larger than it is right now. So what benefits does Earth Habitat contribute to the markets? Well, offline to online property verification for rural areas. So for a lot of rural areas that have access to internet and all those kind of things, we want to be able to create technology that allows them to verify their properties, whether listing or buying them rurally. There'll be multi-language supports for all the countries that will be benefiting from this. Secure blockchain records so that the contract, so that your lease agreements are immutable. They cannot be changed. They cannot be tampered with. Partnerships with local agencies like the Nigerian Housing Federation, which will be able to make crypto adoption more widespread so that we can easier break into the market. Because as you can tell, cryptocurrency has yet to gain widespread adoption in a lot of conservative countries. The benefits: economic stability, transparency and trust, financial inclusion, and a global adoption. Our revenue model: percentage fees on transactions, localized subscription offering premium plans to target markets, advertising revenue like marketing strategies and data analytics services. Financial projections: in our first year, we hope to make at least $750,000 based off of the African countries we'll be launching in: Lagos, Nairobi, Johannesburg. After 3 years, we hope to have expanded worldwide to markets in the UAE and the US with a projected revenue of about $6 million, and later on 20 million upward. And we believe that we can achieve this with the necessary supports and the features that we have above others. So as an African targeted markets, we have full cryptocurrency integration for payments, blockchain transparency, offline verification for rural markets, and at large global scalability. Am I out of time?
Well, we're going to have to end it there. But yes, I think this is great, and I think it's a great idea. Some of my feedback would be immediately is I think there's obviously a lot of text on the screen, and it's quite hard to follow along. I'm trying to read it all, and it's like, oh, I'm missing a bit of what you're saying because I'm trying to read too much. Maybe you could turn those into bullets. Yeah, sorry, Cass.
Yeah, it's closer to what I would think of as a white paper in terms of how you read through it, and it needs to be presentified, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
It would be nice to obviously you've got like a dark background, like a black background on all the slides. Maybe put a little bit more styling in there. Maybe reduce the amount of text and put a bit more styling there. Some specifics as well. Maybe it would be good to, when you look to the revenues, just relate those to kind of your customer size, because I was struggling to work out how you're going to get to those revenues. So that would be useful. Yeah, I think overall there's a lot here, and it's and I think it's a quite compelling what you're talking about, especially kind of talking about the problems that exist currently. So I think it's just about reducing it down, making it more concise. Obviously, by this point, you should have already started like getting through to your prototype as well. So you'll need to kind of just cut back those first few slides. Maybe on some things like when you're looking at your competitors, you're comparing against about, I think it's about 6 to 8 different things. Maybe you could reduce that down and make it a bit punchier. Just take the top factors you're going to be competing against, and all this will make it a little bit punchier and kind of easier to get through and easier to understand.
Yeah, thank you.
But really good, really good.
Thank you.
Guys, I'm afraid we've kind of reached the end now, but I think, Sarah, correct me if you're wrong, is there going to be another Q&A session tomorrow?
Yeah, there will be a Q&A session tomorrow. And now, for those who cannot make it to the Q&A session, we'll just spend 5 more minutes to go through the timeline and the available resources. And there will be a wider session tomorrow. Please, whoever needs to ask question in details, join us tomorrow. But today, I'm just going to go quickly, since it's the last workshop of this fantastic competition where we had the pleasure to meet everyone from different countries. I want to ensure that you all have the latest information that are available already on the platform since the beginning, but I'm just going to nudge on a few bullet points. So allow me to share the screen. So now, as you know, we are the enrollment phase ended last week. So anyone who was part of, who is now on the platform is part of the competition, and we are not accepting any further participants. So if you all have a team, once you reach the ABC form, filling up the ABC form, there will be a section where you have to fill up your team member. Please ensure that you are filling your team member, and the one who is submitting is the one who is registered on the platform. By the 10th of December, we are expecting you to share with us the ABC form Canva. Check the timeline as well, because we will not close the session at 11:20. There is a specific timing on the section submit now. And by the 10th of January, you will know if you made it to the semifinal. So you'll have plenty of time to just take a sit back, relax until you hear back from us. But from now until the 10th of December, please ensure that your prototype is refined in terms of how it looks like, and once you embed it in your pitch deck, that your pitch deck has your brand guideline. Chris and Ben, Cassian, sorry, and Ben were talking about the branding part, and in the last pitch we saw that the background is dark. So if it matches your brand guidelines, please ensure that there's consistency throughout the pitch deck. How many parties? We have more than 4,850 participants at the moment. So we are expecting to see fantastic pitch deck. Please do your best to impress us. This exercise is good for you. If you are making it to the final, we'd love to meet you in person and in the semi-final as well, because it will be happening in Dubai in person in hybrid. And if you don't, you will still be part of the community. So we'll help you in the next step if you want to settle in Dubai, but I'll come to it later in December once you submit your pitch deck, ABC form, and prototype. What you need to know is that you all know by now, it's a 4-minute pitch with presentation and prototype and your app business Canva. Just for you to know, the app business Canva, we are asking you details because we want to make sure that you've done your homework. And also it will help the jury member to have more information to judge your application. In terms of resources, on the submit page, you have different resources. You have the replica, the PDF version of the ABC form. But what we need from you is for you to click on the button submit page, and this is where you have access to the live form of the ABC form. In that live page, you will have a link where you can upload your video pitch deck and logo branding as well, your logo. What else? The pitch guide, you have access to it. This is not a template, it is a pitch guide structure. What we are expecting you is to understand what goes into that pitch deck and to create your own template with your own color and your own branding. On the submit page, we also gave you example of pitches that were done last year. These are just for you to get inspired. It's not the ultimate framework for your pitch, but it's just for you to get inspired of what was done last year and how they recorded their pitch. Now I still have 5 more minutes. If you have any question, please, we'll end the session a little bit later than usual, just because it's the last workshop. And we would love to support you further for 5 more minutes. If not, please join us tomorrow in the Q&A session from 12 to 1 p.m.
Okay, Ma, I have a question.
That's it. So Ben and Cassian is the last session of this many weeks with us, and we were pleased to have you with us. And the link for tomorrow Q&A is on the homepage, and we'll share it just now as well. Yeah.
I think we have a couple of people that have some questions.
So, okay, I have a couple of questions. How do I know if I have registered and have been shortlisted to submit my pitch? You are on the platform, so you are there to submit your pitch. So you can submit it from now on until the 10th of December.
Okay, can I speak, please?
Yes.
Thank you, Mohammed, for your great feedback. It is very nice to see participants who are so involved in the competition. And for us, this is what drives us as well, to encourage you to create your dream and to make your dream come true.
I think Ridwan, did you want to say something?
Yusuf.
Yes,
Um,
yes. I have a question. My question
Okay,
is
Yusuf, Carmen will get in touch with you for the mentor because the link is automated in the once you receive the invite. So maybe there's, I don't know, a time difference, but I doubt that's the case. Ridwan, please, what's your question?
okay, yeah. Can you hear me?
We
Yes.
can't hear you.
We can.
You're on mute.
I can
We
hear him.
we can hear him.
Okay.
I don't think she could hear us.
Okay,
I can hear you.
okay, yeah. My question is, must I follow the pitch deck guide page by page? The
Sorry,
pitch
say that-
deck,
sorry,
your
say that-
your pitch deck guide,
Yeah.
must I follow it page by page?
No.
Or there's
No.
a standard of maybe like a 10 slide page or so?
No, you don't need to follow it page by page. The only restrictions are you need to it needs to fit into 4 minutes, and you need to spend a minute on the prototype walkthrough. But if you need more slides, that's fine. Maybe you spend like 10 seconds on. But we don't want you to, I mean, obviously, don't put in like kind of 40 slides and then have to go through like each one in like a couple of seconds. So and also in terms of the structure, as long as you cover all the different content types, how you do that and in what order, that's kind of up to you, as long as it makes a logical sense.
Mhm.
All right, yeah, thank you.
So you have in the pitch structure that is available on the resources, you have the main points that need to be covered. And as Ben mentioned, those points can be in one slide or in more slides, but we just need to have this information. And so thank you to those who just joined. We closed the enrollment phase on the 30th of November, which is beautiful because you have until the 10th of December to create a pitch deck and with your prototype as well as your ABC Canva. Just as a reference, in other competition, usually the time is shorter. So for example, in Hackathon, we are asking them to do the same in a span of 3 days maximum, which means that you have plenty of time to show us your magic. And we hope that this session and these sessions were helpful to you all. And thank you, Chris. Thank you, Cassian. Thank you, Ben, Khadija, and Carmen, who are behind the scene asking and requesting and also answering all the questions of the participants. Good luck, everyone. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for the last Q&A of this competition from 12 to 1 p.m. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Until next time, happy learning.